Benny the Bear Learns to Listen. Deep in a lush green forest lived a little bear named Benny. Benny was round and fluffy, with eyes that sparkled with curiosity. He loved adventures. He loved playing with friends. He loved discovering every hidden corner of the forest. But Benny had a little problem. Whenever he got excited, he would spin around like a little windmill and couldn't hear a thing. When others spoke to him, he often just nodded without truly listening. "Benny, you must listen carefully if you want to play happily," Mama Bear often reminded him. Benny only chuckled because in his heart, adventures were the most important thing of all. One day, all the forest animals gathered together. Wise Mr. Owl stood on a big tree stump and announced, "Today, I'm taking you on a forest treasure hunt. A surprise is hidden in the woods. Whoever finds it will get a wonderful prize." Little Rabbit hopped up and down. Squirrel flicked his tail. Even Hedgehog rolled into a prickly ball of excitement. When Benny heard the words treasure hunt, his eyes lit up. He clapped his paws and shouted, "I'm going to find the biggest treasure of all." Mr. Owl began slowly. "Everyone must listen carefully to the clues." But Benny just couldn't sit still. In his head, he was already imagining himself holding the treasure high, his friends cheering all around. He shuffled his paws, ready to dash. Clue number 1, Mr. Owl had barely begun when, whoosh, Benny bolted into the woods. He flipped over little stones, crawled into tall grass, and poked his nose into every tree hole. "The treasure must be here," Benny muttered. But the more he searched, the more mixed up it became. He startled 2 little birds and even knocked over Squirrel's pile of nuts. "Benny, you're going the wrong way," his friends called after him, but Benny was too excited to hear. By the time the sun began to set, everyone had found a small prize, a pretty acorn necklace, a shiny feather, a fragrant pine cone. Everyone except Benny. His paws were empty, his fur dusty, and he was panting hard. How can this be? Benny's heart felt heavy. Back home, Benny sat gloomily by the tree roots. "Everyone got a treasure, only I have nothing." His nose wrinkled and his eyes grew damp. Just then, Mama Bear slowly came over and gently stroked his head. "My little Benny, did you forget to listen carefully to Mr. Owl's clues?" Benny pressed his lips together and whispered, "I did listen, but I was too impatient." Mama Bear smiled, her voice warm yet firm. "Listening isn't just about hearing with your ears. It's about looking at the person, paying attention, and understanding what they're saying. That's how we show respect. And when you truly listen, you'll always gain more." Benny blinked. It felt like a light had suddenly switched on in his head. So that's it. Listening carefully is the real secret to finding treasure. The next day, Benny decided to give it a try. When Little Rabbit invited everyone to play the stone jump game, Benny resisted the urge to leap in right away. He sat quietly, eyes fixed on his friend. Little Rabbit explained, "The rule is to jump from this big stone to the little stone and then onto the tree root. Whoever falls off first has to swap turns." This time, Benny heard every word. "Oh, so that's how it works," he thought. He followed the rules step by step, landing on each stone carefully. Sure enough, he played the game smoothly. "You're really good at this, Benny," said Little Rabbit with a big smile. Benny's heart felt warm and happy. He realized that when he listened, playing with friends was so much more fun. A few days later, Squirrel needed help moving a big pile of nuts. I need someone to carry these nuts into my tree hollow and place them on the very last shelf, Squirrel explained. Benny lifted his head and nodded. Got it! The very last shelf. He carried the nuts carefully and stacked them without knocking anything over. Squirrel beamed and patted his shoulder. Thank you, Benny. You're so dependable. Benny's heart bloomed like a flower. He discovered that listening not only helped him, but also made his friends trust him more. From then on, Benny practiced listening every day. Sometimes he listened to a friend telling a story. Sometimes he helped a bird find a lost feather. Sometimes he waited patiently in line with Hedgehog for a snack. He noticed something magical. When he really looked at someone and listened carefully, their faces softened, their voices grew warmer, and the distance between them disappeared. Soon, the forest held another activity, a bridge-building contest. Mr. Owl once again explained the rules. Everyone must carry the logs and arrange them from biggest to smallest to build a strong bridge. Benny took a deep breath, kept his eyes on Mr. Owl, and remembered every word. While some animals scrambled in confusion, Benny calmly stacked the logs in the right order, big, medium, small, like a rainbow of wood. In the end, their bridge was the strongest and the most beautiful. It stretched across the stream, glowing golden in the evening sun, and the water below sparkled with reflected light. Wonderful, his friends cheered. Benny, you're such a great teammate. Benny grinned so wide that his eyes nearly disappeared. He shouted proudly, I've learned that listening helps me learn, make friends, and have even more fun. At that moment, birds sang from the treetops, the wind carried the scent of flowers, and it felt as if the whole forest was clapping for him. Benny felt a little taller, not just in his body, but in his heart. From that day on, the forest often echoed with Benny's joyful laughter. He was no longer just the adventurous little bear. He was also a friend everyone trusted and loved. When other animals needed help, they would say, Go find Benny. He really listens. Benny would nod, listen to every detail, and then lend a paw. Sometimes he helped Bird build a new nest. Sometimes he listened patiently to Hedgehog and Little Rabbit when they argued, then gently helped them find a solution. Each time, he felt another little flower bloom inside his heart. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Benny walked along the forest path, his shadow stretching long behind him. He looked up at the sky and smiled to himself. So listening really is a treasure. The wind rustled through the leaves as if to whisper, Yes, it is. Benny's steps grew lighter. He knew his adventures were only just beginning, because the world was big, stories were many, and he would keep exploring and listening, turning every voice and every kindness into treasures of his own. Thank you for watching Benny the Bear Learns to Listen. Don't forget to subscribe for more gentle bedtime stories. Good night, little ones.